With the league cutting down team rosters from 13 to 11, how do you think that'll impact our team, the league, and do you think players are going to need to be more multidimensional?
Those are all great questions. I think it's going to have a huge effect on the league. From our standpoint, we've always been in a position, salary cap wise, to have at least 12 players. And in 2 out of the last 3 years, I think we've been able to have 13 for at least a good portion of the season. It helps in practice to have more players. I think what it'll force us to do is have more evening practices where we bring in guys to practice against, so we don't, do all the pounding on ourselves. So we have the ability to sub a little bit during practice. When you only have 11 players in practice, it's draining. You don't get as much done. I think one of the downsides also is it's going to keep some players from making the league that would get a chance. I mean, I'll give you, last year, Danielle Page for us would have never made our team had we had the 11-player limit. Keisha Swanya would have probably been on the bubble last year because it would have been hard to keep 3 point guards. I think it's going to have a huge effect on the kind of players you keep. You talked about multidimensional players. I think it really helps a player coming into training camp trying to make a team if they can play a couple positions, because if you have that, then you can kind of almost, within the limits of 11, expand the roster to 13 or 14 by the various skill sets. We've always kept 3 point guards, and it might be very hard to do for a whole year this year. The fact that a player like Lindsay Whalen or Aaron Phillips can play both guard spots helps us. It probably will change, who we keep as our, like wing players that can play 2 positions, 2 or 3 and 4. I think that's going to have a huge fact. The fact of the matter is we've eliminated a Houston team in those roster spots. We've eliminated 26 other roster spots. I think the number is 143 total players in the league. It's going to be a very hard job to get for young players this year.
Kind of as a follow-up, how do you think these roster changes will be impacted by players' overseas commitments, such as the European Championships for players like Sandrine and Anete? And also, can you talk a little bit about the importance of the European Championships for those players?
Well, I think, first of all, I'll go in reverse order. The European Championships are the qualifier for next year's World Championships. It's national teams trying to make the World Championships. Here in the U.S., we're not used to have to qualify very often. We're used to winning and being the defending champion. But as many people know, our Olympic team had to go through a qualification process a year and a half ago just to qualify for the Olympics because we didn't win the World Championships. And so, that was a big thing to go to the Tournament of the Americas down in Chile to qualify. This is the same situation, and national pride is a huge thing. I think maybe even more so in some ways for young players growing up in Europe, because they start getting involvement with their national team at an age of 16 or 17. Sandrine Gruda has been a part of the French national team since she was 16 years old. So, A, it's an honor, but B, there's a lot of pressure to perform. Some of them also get some pretty good bonus money for medaling or qualifying. So they are not going to be here for the first 3 weeks of the season. Sandrine with the French national team and Anete with the Latvian national team. And so it's going to impact our team because I know they're both going to be on our team. So when we start the regular season on June 6th, we'll have 11 players, but 2 of those players are probably going to be gone come June 25th or 26th. In some ways, it's nice for those players that maybe they would have gotten cut before that, but it gives them an extended tryout with our team to fight for a position and maybe make a case to stay here on once we get to the end of June. But it's certainly going to make for 2 series of decisions for our coaching staff that I don't really look forward to doing.